Holla, I'm Trump, and you're listening to Concede.
Greetings.
Hello.
Greet my Greece.
Well met.
I greet you. Greetings, traveler. Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 129 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. My name is Kenny, and I go by KCCO Gamer. And joining us from Gadget Zan, New York, we have Ridiculous At.
Hello.
Hello. And from Karazhan, California, we have Bodicus.
Howdy.
Howdy. And from Orgrimmar, Illinois, we have the dynamic duo Cora and Sir Slim.
Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while.
Yeah, no
Good.
kidding.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be
I'm
back.
excited. This will be a good show. All right, so we're gonna go. It's kind of a normal show. I'm not gonna really go over the full outline, other than at the end here, you want to stick around to listen about Arena with Sir Slim, because we're gonna go over some of the new Arena changes. But let's get back into the swing of things. So, Coin Concede is supported in a large part by you, the listener. So, if you'd like to find out how you can support us and receive rewards in return, head over to Patreon at patreon.com/coinconcede. Let's go ahead and kind of reintroduce Sir Slim to everybody. So, Sir Slim, give us a brief intro, who you are, why you coach with us.
Well,
Whatever
I
you'd
mean,
like to add.
I've sort of just been all around the Hearthstone scene basically since open beta. Recently, somewhat recently, I've had a top 8 performance at DreamHack Atlanta. That's basically my most notable accomplishment. And then also I hit 11th place on the Arena leaderboard for, I believe it was May 2017. And I hit around rank 50 for the Arena leaderboard during the Halloween event that was going on. So those would be my most notable accomplishments in terms of Hearthstone. And I coach basically to help you guys. I love the show. Obviously, my sister is a founder, so to help out, I try to share what I can.
Oh, we appreciate it. And a lot of people, you have your regulars. I hope you get more regulars after being on the show again, reminding people you're still around.
We have to make some more regular appearances.
Yes, that is a fact.
Take over the Georgiou stronghold on the Coin Concede podcast.
Yeah, with how busy you are, you can't be there every episode. I understand.
Is that how you pronounce it,
So
Georgiou?
popular. Yep, Georgiou.
I'm gonna write that down.
I learned something new. The more you
Really?
know.
129 episodes, Kenny. Yeah, it's Georgiou.
Well, then again, how often do you say your last name?
Good point.
To me, so.
Good point. I usually just
Alright.
introduce myself my first name.
So let's go with you guys first. So, Sir Slim, how has your ladder been, or Arena, and then we'll go to Cora next here.
I haven't been doing too much with the ladder, mainly because of the new Arena that's come out recently. I've been really working at trying to understand that more, and I think I've been doing a pretty good job of that. I recently went 12 wins last night, went another 10 immediately after that. So if that keeps up, I might actually go for the leaderboard again this month, but we'll have to see there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right, and Cora, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm back and
You've been
forth
busy.
every week. Yeah, I'm back and forth between Chicago and California every week for TESPA Hearthstone Collegiate Championships. And I'm working on the Wild Tournament, and I'll be at PAX East the first week of April. So I'm pretty busy. I just got actually off a plane around 5 o'clock today, back from California. But I'm sitting at rank 3 in Standard and rank 5 in Wild, lettering up with Spiteful Priest and Q Block, and just taking my time. It's the end of the rotation, obviously. So I've been casting this format for quite a while, and I'm not looking to gather points, so I'm not super pressured to grind for really high legend ranks, but I still like to hit legend. It's just habit by now, I guess.
I imagine the most you play Hearthstone on is on your mobile while you're traveling, doing stuff.
I do a lot, actually. I play the majority of my Hearthstone on a Windows tablet, actually. When I'm home and I have access to my desktop, yeah, it's Overwatch time.
Hey, it's the perfect time to do it. I tend to play once I go back to work here soon. I tend to play Hearthstone consistently on the way home since I drive to work. My wife drives us back, so we carpool. We both work the same place. So yeah, that's my time and I've been trying to squeeze it in here and there whenever we're not busy doing stuff. So let's hear from Bodicus. How's your week been?
The new ladder system, or at least the way Legend's been working as of late, ever since the hotfix, has been really weird. It's extremely swingy. So like I've been as high as top 500 and as low as in the 3Ks. Mostly playing on NA now for standard. Right now I'm like just in the top 1000-ish. Might try to do like a push just to try to get like a top 200 this season, even though I'm only have 8 points, so I'm not anywhere close to like being able to qualify for anything. But yeah, I did that and played a little bit of Wild with the Reganis Prime Breakfast Paladin deck, I guess that he's calling it. And I was messing around with like this Dane Hearth rogue deck and losing ranks and losing ranks and losing ranks. And then I played Reganis's Prime deck last night and went like 14-1 to go to rank 10 or something. It was quite powerful, we'll say. So
what deck was that?
The basically aggro paladin with Nerubian egg, is that the name of it? And and yeah, basically a bunch of like buffs to be able to pop the eggs.
Nice.
Oh, and it plays oh man,
Fungal Mancer?
I should have yeah, Fungal Mancer. That card is sweet in that deck.
Yeah.
Going Call to Arms into Fungal Mancer is a lot of fun.
You make mushroom omelets.
Ooh.
And then I also, real quick, I tried to play some Arena to get like ready for the cast today, and I had this one game that reminded me why I don't really like Arena that much, where my opponent got a Deathwing off of a Bone Drake, and I was like, okay, this is good, this is fine, because I have this Stubborn Gastropod for the follow-up after the Deathwing, and the first card they draw is Mind Control, and they Mind Control it and kill me. I was like, yep, that's how it goes.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
All right, and then Hat, what about you? What have you been working on?
So I have been playing. So I was playing the butt control priest that we were talking about with Wicked Good last week with Void Ripper, and that was fun. But the games took a while, and I experienced a similar thing that he did in that I felt like I hit a micro pocket of the meta that just wasn't very accommodating, and Combo Priest was eating my lunch. Now he stuck with the deck and hit Legend with it, and I said, well, how about I switch decks? But I switched over to a build of Zoo it's kind of old school. It plays Keliseth, and it's got Vicious Fledgling and Fungal Mancer in it. So I've been calling it Mushroom Bird Zoo, and it's been surprisingly good. And Dragon Slayer has really impressed me in this meta, because they play a Drakend Operative, and you're like, nope, that goes away now. And otherwise, it's just a 3-mana 4/3, which is mildly competitive. Like, it's fine. It's a lot of decks in this format are only geared to beat aggro decks if they're paladins, and Zoo is not a paladin. So I've been really enjoying playing it. My record with it, not a ton of games, but I think I'm like 10-2 with it between rank 3 and rank 1. So I'll just grind out the last few games and hit Legend at some point this week.
Nice.
Yep, and then I've been in Wild. I've been tinkering around in Wild. I'm still playing Aluneth Mage, and that deck is really, really good. I'm only at rank 10, but I've been enjoying my dipping my toe into Wild. I actually was on Into the Wild last night. We recorded an episode, and
Yeah,
I
fun.
firmly believe Standard is more diverse than it seems, and Wild is less diverse than it seems. Because
Yeah.
Call to Arms, while it's good in Standard, it's really good in Wild. Really,
Yeah.
really, really good.
Shielded Minibot and Haunted Creeper are pretty powerful. Haunted Creeper and Knife Juggler are just a pain in the butt. That's what I'll say.
Nice. I was I over the last couple weeks, as you guys haven't heard from me lately, but over the last couple weeks, I've been messing around with different things, not playing too much, just trying to keep my quest log clear, and just messing around with aggro paladin, got me to rank 4, and then I played the secret paladin that um, Lore Master Eve, or Eve from Felon's Chosen, was playing. We'll get to that later, but so got me to rank 4, I think it was. Yeah. And then I got to get me to rank 3, I've been playing some secret mage with Alianeth, so that's been fun. Still working on my mage wins because I need to get that'll probably be my next golden, and yeah, been playing on EU too, trying to clear those quests, and we'll get to a little bit in the news as far as why I've been playing EU a little bit, trying to get as much cards as I can with the packs.
I owe you a
But,
deck
yeah.
list. I just remembered I owe you a deck list.
Yes, because I was thinking, I heard Budget Priest is actually pretty good, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of cards in there that, because I've been playing it on standard, it's gonna rotate, so I don't know if it'd be worth spending what little dust I do have on some of those cards, and so I'm debating if I should make them or not. So we'll see, but that's why I hit him up, because I know he tends to play combo priest a lot and do well with it. So I was like, maybe I can do some.
Had some really good coaching sessions with combo priest this week.
Yeah, I saw you had one with Mage of Death. So I saw part of it and I fell asleep during it. So I'm gonna go back and watch it again.
Yeah, we 5-0'd, and then I had another coaching session with Smiley Chris the next day, and we went 7-1. So
nice.
Turns out combo priest is still pretty good.
Yeah, I may end up playing it on standard just because I tanked in standard. I went from rank 7 to 10, and then I got back up to rank 9. So I may pick it up and get some games in on standard with that. It'll depend on how close I get to legend, or if I want to push for legend and wild, but we'll see. So that was my couple weeks. Let's go ahead, and we got a lot of news to cover, but first, new pledges this week. We have Idamar R. So thank you for your support of the show, and thank you so much. And then speaking about support, we had I know you guys talked about it earlier, but Hat, you want to cover some other support recently and the result?
Yeah, it's our buddy Cap Correlator, who's a longtime friend of the show and patron. He, as we discussed last week, just to recap a little bit, his family unfortunately had a car accident where their car was totaled. Everyone was okay, but it kind of came out of the blue, and we decided as a community to kind of come together and rally behind him. So we are incredibly thankful all of the effort our patrons put forward. We raised a little under $1,100 in 4 days. So got it sent to our friend Cap, and we're really, really honored by your contributions and the reflection it means in the community that we can be there for each other. It just means so much. So thank you everyone that contributed.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he was flabbergasted. He was really excited. So I'm glad we were able to support it. It's a feel good thing. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and just hit it hard with the news. All right, so the first part we were going to cover here is Dean Ayala's Even and Odd video that was released late last week, but and the announcement of some of the cars that went through that. So I want someone else to cover this, just because I'd like to kind of cover the topics of each of these news sections. So who Hat, you want to cover? Hat, you do your tournament stuff. Let's hear from Sir Slim.
All right. So in the video, obviously, some of the new cards were released. Some of these being Glitter Moth, which is a priest 5-mana 4/4 epic with Battle Cry. If your deck has only odd cost cards, it doubles the health of all of your other minions. Definitely an interesting card that I think could work potentially in some of these like more Zooey priests or even combo priests potentially. But then you're sacrificing with only odd cost cards. You're sacrificing Divine Spirit for this Glitter Moth. That could be a rough one.
Real quick, let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Speaking arena wise, that wouldn't be included with arena, would it?
I don't believe so.
No,
'cause-
they announced
yeah,
the odd even
okay.
cards will not be included in the arena draft, like the
Okay.
Disciples of Cthulhu.
Yeah, because they're very
Ah.
specific synergy wise.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
yeah, the next card would be Gloomstag. It's a Druid 5 mana, 2/6 epic, and it has Taunt and Battlecry. If your deck has only odd cost cards, it gains +2/+2. So for 5 mana, you're getting a 4/8 Taunt, which is a great deal. But again, we'll have to see potentially if there's more support with odd cost only decks, and if that'll really work out. Mage also got another one, which is the Black Cat. It's a 3 mana, 3/3 common that has spell damage +1 regardless, and then Battlecry. If your deck has only odd cost cards, you draw another card. So it's sort of like an Azure Drake mini.
At the very least, it's the 3 mana 3/3 mech with spell damage.
Yeah, it's Soot Spewer.
Yeah, it's
But-
Soot Spewer, but a beast.
Yeah, it trades that mech tag for some slight beast synergy potentially, which I think overall this is definitely the most solid, regardless of if you're running, the odd cost deck. But we'll have to see if there's more support on that end. And then Shaman also got one, Merc Spark Eel. It's a 2 mana 2/3 rare card, and it has Battlecry. If your deck has only even cost cards, it deals 2 damage. So kind of a mini Medivh's Valet potentially, but you don't need a secret up, obviously. You just need to build your deck in this very specific way. And even cost cards, this is the first one that we've seen, aside from Gen Greymane, I believe, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's
And-
Ben and Baku the Moon Eater.
Yeah. And so for Shaman, I'm wondering if even is the way to go there rather than odd.
They've really taken, depending on the strengths of the class, odd or even, to
Mhm.
sort of balance that out. Shaman obviously having a lot of really fantastic odd costed removal like Volcano, Lightning Storm, Lightning Bolt. You can't play those if you're playing an evens Shaman deck. So I'm sure the even cards will be very, very strong, but then you're sort of constantly having to weigh the options of, okay, well, yes, this
Mhm.
is good, but is it just better if I run, these already very strong Shaman cards that are still going to be around post rotation? So same for Mage. Mage has a lot of great even costed removal, Fireball, Frostbolt, not going to be playable in an odd Mage deck. So they've sort of really just gone the opposite direction of the strengths of the decks themselves
Mhm.
right now, which I think is going to be really cool. I think we're going to see a lot of support for these deck archetypes, but we just don't know enough about them right now to really judge them well, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to see more cards of this type to see if a deck like this can really pull itself together. So
I think that's the biggest part of this that I like the most is now opening up another aspect where you can now start thinking about which cards are not included in those decks. Like you can minimize guessing what you're having to play around. So I really like that part, and it's like kind of the higher aspect of the game, I guess you can put it under. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm looking forward to kind of logically play against these decks. But
Yeah.
were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to speak actually more about the legendaries because I feel like those are kind of the big target, whereas these cards fit in with those.
Mhm.
But I was thinking about it a lot this week and just how the differences between your odd decks and your even decks, and that the odd seems significantly weaker in the sense that it's going to be very hard to utilize the extra hero power you have, because when you think of how your cards are going to line up on your turns, obviously the odd cost cards you can have 2 add up to be an even cost. If that, I don't know if I'm going the right direction, but like it's going to be hard to like weave in hero powers, whereas with the even mechanic, it's very easy when you have like one bonus one mana left over, which you have a tendency to have over your turns. It's going to be easier to use that hero power. But then I was also thinking at the same time that upgrading your hero power versus making it cost 1 mana is also significantly stronger because you're using less resources and essentially to get a more powerful effect. So it's kind of interesting when you think about how the cards are going to play out, because the odd mechanic sounds really good at the start, like in Warrior, where you're like, okay, I have my 1 mana play, 2 mana hero power, 3 mana play, but then as the turns go on, it's harder to work in your hero power on the even turns. So I don't know if that really makes sense, but I'm much more looking forward to the even cost decks, just because it feels like you'll be able to work in your hero power a lot easier.
Makes sense. Hat, you want to add anything?
This seems like a super good mechanic for me to let other people evaluate before the set comes out, because there's no way we're going to get it right. I do want to point out Mike Tanea's comment on Reddit, and specifically said there's not one of these cards for each class, and they specifically targeted classes that aren't normally, like, it's like Sir Slim was saying, these are cards that are for classes that don't normally want to play with these mechanics. So they're trying to boost what they expect to be the underplayed combinations. And so you should look at these cards as filling in gaps that they see, not as in meant to establish archetypes. I think I really like the design of at the start of the game, because it's not like Keleseth or Patches where it's at the start of your turn 2, do you win or do you lose? It's much more consistent, because you know what's going to happen each game. It's a deck building challenge, and it doesn't seem like an insurmountable advantage. But also, I like that they're specifically saying, we're making this, it's not quite a meme, and it's not quite tier 1, it's somewhere in the middle, and it's meant to inspire experimentation. So I'm hoping they hit that right in the middle. But it's very important to note that they've already come out and said there are only a few of these cards like the ones that we've seen already. There's not one for each class, and it's only targeted at the combinations they expect to see less play. So this is not going to be a major thrust of the new set.
I'm really looking forward. I think this is interesting that they're implementing it with the fewest cards, since a lot will be leaving standard. So I think when more sets are included into the meta, it'll be even stronger, because there's more cards to pull from for these decks. So they're kind of easing us into it, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it
That's
might
how
be
I
like
see it.
Cthulhu, where it gets played a lot when the set first comes out because the most obvious mechanic and it's innately powerful in the smaller card pool. Or it might be that it's a strategy, either odd or even, that's just missing a few key support cards. It really depends. But most likely, the way I envision this, and I know I said I wouldn't evaluate this, but I can't resist having a good opinion, is that I see this becoming weaker as more cards come out, just because the innate bonus of having an upgraded hero power doesn't really shine in a metagame that is stronger or more powerful like the one we have now. It's not about the hero power, it's about what your cards do. And if the synergy of your cards is more powerful than incremental value over time, which is what hero powers generate, then your cards are going to be more important. I mean, if you had an upgraded hero power right now, Combo Priest doesn't care, it kills you. Or Call to Arms doesn't care. Or, Nazothing back 4 Void Lords doesn't care. So we have to get to a less powerful metagame for incremental value to matter more over synergy. And I think that as more cards come out, that's going to be less and less likely.
Unless you just go face.
Well, I like going face, but that's less time for a hero power.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a nice. It was surprising to see Face Hunter in there, but that's probably you have a really good point about that. So I like to hear that. All right, so we got that covered pretty well. I think let's go ahead and move on to the update on the HCT rules. Cora, you want to cover that a little bit? Basically, it's just one big change, or one reason why they changed it.
Yeah, so at the start of this month, obviously there were significant rollout issues with the new ladder structure. Essentially, you reset 4 full ranks beneath where you ended, instead of all legend players resetting at rank 16 and down from there. In hindsight, it's a great idea, and I think moving forward, it's going to be implemented, consistently as they intended it to. But obviously, this month it was a little bit flawed. Some players were getting reset at rank 1 5 stars, and then winning a single game, getting into legend at a very high legend rank. And then because of if you're not familiar with what MMR is, study up on it a little bit. It's a rather difficult concept to wrap your mind around. Essentially, it's a hidden value that increases or decreases based on the number of wins and losses that you get. And then they use that to essentially determine your rank. Your MMR versus another player's MMR determines who's rank 1 legend, who's rank 2 legend, and so on. But you obviously cannot actually see what your physical MMR is because it is a hidden value. So players were winning one game and their MMR was so skewed that they would be at rank 1 legend for weeks on end without having to play any other games. So in order to combat this, they've implemented a system where in order to earn HCT points from a ladder season, you have to play at least 30 ranked play games. So it's not going to be that players can just get from 4 to legend, play maybe 20 games, hit rank 1 legend and stop. They're going to need to keep playing. And I don't know that this is the rule that they're going to keep for the long term, but at least in the immediate, where this was a significant issue, I think it's a solid fix.
It's also a significant month in that it's the last month. It's like the final cutoff for HCT points for the first season. So it's important to have this here so that people don't get screwed over for essentially not winning the lottery and getting set at rank 1
Yeah.
4 stars or 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting answers that, people were playing, obviously because ranked mode was shut down for a bit, that people were playing games before ranked mode shut down and they got compensated and bumped up to rank 1 5 stars. But I don't think we ever got like actual explanations for exactly what happened that made sense across the board. But it was supposed to be fixed. The MMR values were, I believe, reset at some point. And I do think that the movement within legend ranks now is fixed, mostly at the very least. So playing within legend right now should be like any other month that you played within legend. But going forward, you're going to have to play at least 30 games to earn HCT points. If you're not concerned about HCT points and you just want to get rank 1 legend, I guess you can without having to play 30 ranked games. But usually the players that are gunning for those spots are only concerned with HCT points. So I don't see that being an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely it feels different, but it doesn't feel like right when they reset it and you would have a 70% win rate and lose legend rank, rank at legend ladder. So like the swings are definitely bigger than it used to be, but it's still playable, I guess. It's still like, it still feels like having a winning record means you're climbing, which is good, which is what you want.
Yeah, so it should be.
Nice. All right, and I'm going to have Sir Slim cover the next topic here.
So basically there was the new arena system that was implemented a little bit ago. And basically they made it so that there'd be more choice in the drafting process where you'd hopefully see cards of similar power levels. Maybe, you could factor in synergies and decide really based off of like, your own skill factor, what card worked best for you, more than just, I'm going to pick the best card because it's compared to other worse cards by a large margin. But there were some issues with that new system that they implemented. First of all, there were a lot of legendaries appearing in basically every draft. I think we've seen, upwards of like 6 legendaries. I've had 4 legendaries very commonly. So they made legendaries appear less often, just because, we were having things like Lich King appear in 9% of the decks, which that's a little bit of a problem right there when you're playing an arena and trying to get away from that sort of constructed card power level. And also they've just balanced out, all the other picks. So you're seeing more less desirable card choices more frequently. So whereas before maybe you'd see, a lot of, like fireballs or firelance portals if you're drafting a mage, now you're going to see those cards less often and get more of the original arena experience that people were expecting going in. And, for my personal, very small sample size, it seems to be working much better than the earlier version of this system.
I like the new system itself. I think that the drafting based on power level versus just 3 rare cards together, 3 epic cards together, 3 common cards together, I think makes a lot more sense because you would have major disparities between, Dragonfire Potion and 2 other really bad epic cards. or Fireball and 2 other really horrible class common cards. Like it was just too easy sometimes to make the right choice. Now you're having to make these very difficult choices time and again, where it takes a little bit more time to draft, I guess, optimally, and to figure out those correct choices. But it was just the power level of the decks was so stupid high for the first week of the new system that, like Sage was saying, too many legendaries, too many high quality cards. It was like you were playing a draft form of Constructed, and that's never really been what Arena is supposed to be about. It's about playing with underutilized cards, and it's a completely different experience. So they're sort of bringing it back down to that power level that it was at, but still maintaining that new draft process.
Nice. Did any of you see Merp's tweet on Twitter?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I saw
did.
Edwokta's Reddit post.
I saw it.
Okay.
So Edwokta, I think we talked about Edwokta's Reddit post last week, and I think it echoes a lot of the points we talked about, where there was an execution issue with the new philosophy, but the new philosophy itself was not the problem. There wasn't an issue with power level drafting, just power level drafting with 6 legendaries and a bunch of Spike Ridge Steeds is problem. So this tweet is from Merps about 2 hours before they announced the change, and I think it's a good indicator as to why there was a change. This was at 0-0 in Arena, and Merps' opponent played Savannah High Main, then Hoo ran a Trigger High Main, then Katharina to get Tundra Rhino, then a second Hoo ran on Katharina to get another Tundra Rhino, and immediately played the Emerald Spellstone to get 4 charging 3/3s. That was at 0-0. So I think it's reasonable to say that the change is a good thing, because your Arena deck shouldn't be better than your Wild deck.
Yeah.
And that's nuts.
Yeah, it's a little much. But I think
No.
this is probably the fastest Blizzard has ever changed anything, except for the time they broke ladder. And that was kind of hard to ignore. But in terms of changing something that they implemented that was a design change as opposed to an actual operational issue, this took under a week. Really, really impressive that they were willing to communicate and respond and adjust it so fast. And I think I don't know if this is true, but I have the perception that everyone kind of knows a little bit less about Arena functionality at Blizzard Corporate, just because it's played so much less than Constructed, and it's definitely tested less because I think they just have limited resources, and Constructed, especially with the change they put it through, is going to get the lion's share of the time. So they yielded to the community on this one, rightfully so, and I'm really happy to see the speed with which they addressed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't play Arena enough to really notice how quickly it was, but yeah, from what you're saying, that's pretty cool. It's good. Good on them. Any last words on this before we move on? All right. So next one is the Tavern Brawl this week is based off of StarCraft 2's was it anniversary, I guess? Was it 25th anniversary? Or not 20th.
20th, I think.
Sorry, StarCraft itself. It's 20th, not StarCraft 2. Habit of saying the most recent one up. But yeah, so I guess you get different portals for this. I played it, and anyone who plays it will get 3 Kobolds and Catacombs card packs, which was a nice surprise. I saw this after I got the card packs. And yeah, so there's 3 different types of portals. We have Tech, Swarm, and Mind. So Tech is all about mechs, guns, explosions, that kind of stuff, technology. Swarm is all about like sludges, oozes, jagged spines, I guess, all that kind of stuff. And Mind would be any psychic power stuff. I picked that for the one I won, and that was mostly pre-spells, I'd say. But yeah, so really interesting Tavern Brawl. I had fun. I'll be playing it on as many regions as possible for the free packs.
Did you see the video that Ben Brobe posted about they're like celebrating the StarCraft
No.
anniversary, and they're like trying to talk about their favorite StarCraft memory? You should I'll link it in the show notes. It's pretty funny. They spend most of the video trying to figure out whether they're talking about StarCraft or StarCraft 2. They like keep doing retakes. It was funny.
Nice. All right, we'll add that into the show notes too. There's also the next piece here. They're gonna have a reveal stream, which will be on March 26th at 11 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Daylight Standard Time. So go. I think that's just the Hearthstone, play Hearthstone Twitch, and yeah, go check it out. After that, they're going to release it for all of the streamers and the slow releases and everything. So looking forward to that. But you haven't spoken much. Is that how you say?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
You cover the next one.
All right. So the enrage keyword is being removed. The card functionality is going to remain the same. We have a link in here that kind of explains why they're going to remove it. Essentially, it's just that it's keyword. It says here like keywords can make learning cards easier. Once you know a keyword, it can boil it down. It can boil down a complex idea, and essentially, enrage is just not really doing that. It was kind of just it would say enrage and then it would say what it did anyway. So all of functionality of the enrage cards are going to remain the same, but they're just going to say what the card does instead of saying enrage on them. And also the play 10 enrage minions quest is going to be removed, so you don't have to worry about
10 enrage minions.
Yeah, looking through the enraged minions is pretty pitiful.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to battle cry, death rattle, obviously battle cry is when this minion enters the field, death rattle is when this minion dies, and rage is just if damaged.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Well, in a lot of the arranged mechanic cards, they what they reuse is the red animation, but a lot of the enrage cards are warrior specific and are like battle rage is not battle enrage, right? Like it cares if your minions are quote unquote enraged, but it never really references that, even though it's an identical mechanic. It just says which minions are damaged. So you can just use that language instead on the 9 minions that are keyworded for no reason. That were the most recent one was printed in Whispers. The most recent one is 23 months old, and that's because Aberrant Berserker is a copy of Amani Berserker, right? It's corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't count a corrupted version of a basic card, the most recent was in Goblins vs. Gnomes, which I'm pretty sure came out in 2015-ish. Yeah, been a while.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a nice change.
I'm not bent out of shape with this change.
Are you angry? You're not angry? Are you damaged?
I'm perturbed.
What you're saying is you're neither angry nor damaged.
Yes. That's.
I'm whole and happy.
Alrighty. Okay, so the next part I thought was really cool. I had fun watching this. This is Ben Brode actually did a video answering our Hearthstone questions from Twitter, I believe it was. So you take a look at the VOD, or we included the transcript here. You might find Spivey or Andrew on there, possibly. Easter egg. I don't know if you guys had any questions you wanted to point out in that, or just leave it to them to go watch. It's pretty nice to. I always enjoy watching Ben Brode just because he's a character.
Yeah, this is a great video. It was actually, you learned a lot. He answered some really good questions. Stuff that I definitely hadn't heard before.
Yeah,
I really liked the explanation of the coin, which is the first. I believe it was the first one he answered. It was just like he's talking about why they still use the coin and why it's actually significantly better than like most other card game mechanics on first turn advantage. And I believe the whole point to this video was essentially making up for the question and answer video they were supposed to do for after Witchwood was announced. This is like I believe this is like the makeup video for that, because they said to send a bunch of questions and they'd answer it.
Cool. All right, and then Year of the Raven celebration was announced. So I believe it's the 26th as I pull it up here. Between the 26th and April 9th. As long as you complete a quest, any daily quest that you have, you will be getting a free pack It's either going to be Ungoro, it'll be Knights of the Frozen Throne, or Kobolds and Catacombs, or even Witchwood. So I would consider it's free pack. You get gold, you get a pack. I mean, what's not to be done? You know, why
awesome.
not sign it? Yeah, it's the best event. I'm going to be all over this on different regions too. So
yeah, definitely stack 3 quests for March 26th. I guess to refrain from completing daily quests in the 2 days leading up to it, because then you get 3 packs from them instead of just getting gold. But from then on out, even just 1 pack a day, you're going to be getting more than 10 packs. It's awesome.
I don't know if they said that it's per quest completed or they're just opening it to a quest completed per day. Like
it says every time you complete a daily quest, you will be awarded a card pack. So I assume like if you miss a day and then come back the next day, you can just do both quests. And get 2 packs. I hope so.
We definitely need clarity on this because this is the sort of thing that's gone the other way before. They did say there will be no play a friend quest during the duration of this because, man, imagine 80 gold and a pack. Like that would be just like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the spectator quest will still be around. Probably not. I imagine they'll disable the spectator quest because imagine you watch someone win and you get 2 packs. That'd be great. So they did say
awesome.
They did say it would be when you complete a quest you get a pack, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some revision going forward of every day that you finish a quest you get a pack because usually this sort of thing drives daily login. So I hope it's every quest, but it might be every day. They haven't clarified yet.
Well, maximum of 14 packs, I believe. Somebody in the comment section says. So I'll choose to believe them.
It's a good way to go. All right. So, Hat, we want to cover the next topic here?
So this is a subtle thing that just came up today about HCT Oslo, the next tour stop, which streaming starts this Saturday at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you're awake, God bless you, go ahead and watch some Hearthstone. So that's a cat.
Sorry, he's awoken from his slumber.
It's raw
and he
audio
needs help
patrons.
Getting down from the bed.
This will not make the final episode, but that is a very loud cat from the Georgius. Podcat? Did you say Podcat? Oh my god.
He's the Georgiu Podcat.
That's amazing.
All right,
okay.
going now.
Patrons, we love you. This is just for you. All right. So HCT Oslo, it's a tour stop. They're using Battlefy, and Battlefy has occasional issues with deck lists and with capturing deck lists. And there was an issue with deck submission. So HCT Oslo, the admins, 90 minutes after the deck submission deadline, after a bunch of pros had already posted their lineups to Twitter, said that they were extending the deadline by a day and allowing submission. And I just want to make sure that I clarify for all those out home why this is such a big deal. Imagine everybody is held to the same standard and you are able to post your deck list to Twitter regularly to make sure that you work on your social media following, and then all of a sudden the people that didn't follow the rules get rewarded and get to see all of your hard work before they make their final decisions. And they get an extra day to prep. I actually participate in Team Hearth League. I'm on the ruling body of that league, and part of the issues we've run into over there is anytime we seek to make an exception, we realize the exceptions punish the people that follow the rules, and enforcing the rules punishes the people that don't. I recognize there's systemic issues here, but every single player that submitted on time just got penalized by having their information out there. So kind of disappointing, and I'm curious to see what happens here, but we felt it important to let everybody know that there's a possible violation of competitive integrity here. We'll keep you all updated because I'll definitely be covering this tournament next week, but a lot of the pros on Twitter are pretty pissed, and I think Boar Control actually had the best response of why weren't the deck lists also submitted via email, and a lot of pros have already posted their deck lists. It's not really a fair thing.
Players are very upset, and they have every right to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got no words for it. Alrighty. That's that. Sorry. Okay, let's move on. So, regarding the next thing we were going to cover, this was actually posted in our Discord by Wicked Good, And we just wanted to touch on it slightly here, just because it has to do with general gaming and um, toxic behavior in games. So Riot, Blizzard, and Twitch actually team up to combat the toxic gaming behavior. I didn't really get a chance to check this out, but I liked the idea, and this is why I included it, that multiple companies are starting to work together on some of this. You guys have any thoughts on this here?
Any steps taken to alleviate the issue are good steps in my book. At least it's active effort, and I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, like it
I
can
guess it's
technically get worse from where it is now, but not by a lot. And there's so much opportunity for improvement. And I will say possibly the best thing to happen to the gaming community in the past week was when Ninja played Fortnite with Drake. And for those of you that don't know, that's Drake the musician. And Ninja is the current top, basically, I think the actual most popular streamer on Twitch right now. It's either him or Dr. Disrespect. But Drake came on and played Fortnite with Ninja, and they had, I think, a peak of like 625,000 viewers, which
It
is
shattered the record.
unbelievable. And if you looked at the chat, it was actually like every single Twitch employee was watching, and the amount of money that guy made in one day, God bless him, he did all right for himself. So what that will do is provide a lot of visibility to Twitch as a mainstream platform, which it really is. A lot of people, it's their main entertainment source. Hopefully, that volume of attention and those resources will finally get Twitch chat resolved, because Twitch chat maintains its reputation as one of the most toxic places in the gaming world. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done there along with other places. And it's really nice to see that Riot, Blizzard, and Twitch, which are three of the biggest gaming companies out there, are teaming up to deal with this.
Yeah, it's actually 30 different companies that are part of the Fair Play Alliance. I guess that's the name of the coalition that was made up for this. So that's good to see. 30. I mean, we're talking about the bigger ones, but any that can be included with this is even better. So worth a mention. I'm glad we brought it in. Okay, so let's hear Hat talk a lot, and we'll get some Cora in there and Bot too. So no worries, you get some breaks.
It's the grand tournament!
It's not about the volume of what I say, but the speed with which I say it, but we'll try and conquer both things today. So, first of all, the high level recap we have here, we had 3 tournaments. Well, 1 tournament and 2 half tournaments. We had HCT Bangkok, which happened. That was a double elimination tournament, and one of the HCT tour stops, which give us something to talk about every week. So, Blizzard, we're thankful for you putting that on. And then WESG had 2 tournaments. They had the I guess the main tournament, and then the women's tournament as well. And both of those happened this past weekend, as well as some TESPA, which is ongoing, which our own Cora will talk about. And in fact, I imagine that she'll have something to chime in on all the things here because, that woman likes Hearthstone. So, HCT Bangkok, double elimination tournament, which is a little weird, not Swiss and cut to top 8, but it just means the bracket was more complicated. Shanghai, and that's Shang, but H-I-G-H, kind of witty pun, I enjoyed it, over Rivius in the finals. Crane 333 was third, Ilsor was fourth, and the top 8 included Tom 60229, Rial, Cappy, and Kribo. For WESG, Fujitora beat Luker, which we're big fans of Luker over here in the show, but Fujitora beat him in the finals. Possessi was third, Scream is fourth. The top 8 included Frozen, Nexo K40, Xeno, and Fluffy. And then the WESG women's GL Hui Hui over Don Lion. Scarake was third, and Yan was fourth. And I want to point out in our show notes, there's actually an interview with GL Hui Hui, which was really interesting, and I was super impressed with her play in the finals. Deck lists are posted for all 3 of these in our show notes as well. It was kind of tough to find the WESG and WESG women's deck list, but I was able to scrounge them off the webpage. So every single deck list in the tournament is linked there in the show notes. You're more than welcome to check them out. For the tournament meta, Bangkok was a lot less diverse than Sydney last week. We only had 6 classes represented. We had Warlock, 8 out of 8, 5 cubes, 3 controls. For Priest, There were 8 out of 8 as well, but there was 4 Spiteful, 2 Combo, 1 Big Priest, and 1 Void Ripper Control in honor of our guest last week. And I know Cora was actually pretty excited to see that on Tespa like a couple days ago when she was casting, because that Void Ripper was a lot of fun. Turns out you're Control Priest until you kill people. Mage, there were 4 Secret Mages, Alana Control, N'Zoth Control, and Quest Mage. So a little bit of variety there. There were 7 Mages. There were 4 Rogues, which I did not expect to see. But people are targeting Control pretty heavily. We got 2 Quest Rogues, a Miracle, and a Kingsbane. If that lineup doesn't tell you we're targeting Control, I don't know what does. Paladin had 3 Murloc and 1 Dude, which probably indicates that Warlock is getting banned a lot less there. There was 1 Warrior with Dead Man's Hand. That was Tom60229. There was no Shaman, no Hunter, and no... What's the 9th class? There's a 9th class.
Well, this one must be really forgettable.
I'm marinating. Shaman.
Shaman.
Hunter.
Shaman, Hunter.
Druid.
No Druids.
Okay.
No Druid seems important. Though actually, I'm looking at it now. In all the top 8s we have this week, no Druids at all. 0 Druids.
Huh.
Which is, I think, the worst Druid has been in Hearthstone's history.
I have
Because
some words to say about that later on.
I'm going to write down here, Cora Druid. So for Wesgy, we had 8 Warlocks as well, 6 Cube 2 Control. For the Priests, we had 6 Combo Priests. A lot more Combo Priests. Only 1 Control and 1 Ripper Control. 7 Paladins. We had 5 Dude Paladins, an OTK, and a Murloc. So very different makeup there over on Wesgy. 3 Secret Mages with 1 Alana. 3 Spell Hunters. 1 Quest Rogue, and 1 Evolved Shaman. Very different meta over there. A lot of Spell Hunters. And a lot of combo priests and dude paladin, which indicate a different ban strategy to me. As for Wesgy women's, all 4 players in the top 4 brought the same classes. All of them brought mage, paladin, priest, warlock. All the mages were secret, boring. The warlocks 3 cube, 1 control, boring. The priest 3 combo, 1 spiteful, boring. The paladins, a little bit more interesting. 1 dude, 1 murloc, and 2 OTK control paladins. Which is fun to watch. Since Asmodai has made that deck popular, we've actually seen more of it in the tournament setup. If you can just survive until your opponent dies to non-damage based removal, that's pretty fun. So, it actually did pretty well in the Wesgy women's bracket. As far as games to watch, I will say that I picked 1 from each tournament. Dak Rivius versus Crane 333, game number 4. It was Spiteful Priest versus Q-Block, and it goes to Fatigue for one of these decks, and it's not the Q-Block, which kind of surprised me. It was a long one, but definitely worth watching. For Wesgy, I would watch Scream versus Possessi Game 4. I will warn you now, the game does not end on stream. They lose the final recording of the last few turns, which is a bummer, because the game ends with Yogg casting Play Dead on a frozen champion to get a Darkness. So, you can hear Noxious and Lorinda freaking out watching the game, and then the screen goes color bars. So, it's a really great first 90% of the game. Disappointing you don't see the last 10%, but it's still worth checking out. And then in Wesgy Women's, I just want to say Jiel Hui swept her opponent Donline in the finals 4-0 and was really impressive while doing so. It's not a super long series. I'd recommend watching the entire thing. It was just kind of fun to see from start to finish. And from here, I'm going to toss it to Cora, and Cora's going to start by talking about Druid because I'm curious. And then you should talk to us about these tournaments that you saw, anything that stood out to you, and then definitely give us some TESPA info if you can.
All right, so I will throw in my Druid thoughts into sort of the ongoing TESPA meta that I've been experiencing week by week. So I'm casting every week of the TESPA Swiss, which is 7 separate weeks with 7 separate co-hosts. And it's always really exciting to watch how the TESPA meta develops as a response to HCT Tour Stop metas. So after HCT Toronto in particular, we started seeing a significant decline of Paladin on stream, at least in TESPA. A lot less Dude Paladin, a lot less Murloc Paladin, and in its place, we're seeing more Hunter, more Dead Man's Hand Warrior, more Rogue, and more Jade Druid. And so far, honestly, of these decks that I've listed, Quest Rogue, I think, was 2-0 this week on stream, won both of its matches, performed pretty well against Warlock. Against Control Priest as well, was quite impressive. But Jade Druid, it's still pretty much the same deck that it was. You can tech it anti-aggro, you can tech it with a little bit of anti-control thought, with Medivh at the top end, with the Forgotten King. Just depends on what your ban strategy is, the other decks that you've brought. But it's still the same consistent deck at its core. And the meta we're in right now, if big Spell Mage moves in more, if we see more Dead Man's Hand Warrior, you're definitely going to see a lot more Skulking Geist, and that's definitely going to be a big problem for Jade Druid. But in a meta without a lot of Skulking Geist, Jade Druid is a really strong deck. It's a really consistent deck. It's a deck that is not explosive against anything. It doesn't have crazy favorable matchups, but it's about even across the board. And in that fourth spot, when it's not really super well defined on what the best deck to bring is, like, it was Secret Mage for a long time, but that gets dumpstered by Paladins. The Secret Mage rotates out, but then the Paladin rotates out because you're getting Spell Mage to try and counter the Paladin. Things really continuously evolve in the Hearthstone meta, even this late into a meta format, and we're seeing a lot of that rotation, especially on Tespa. Not so much in response to HCT Bangkok and WESG. We didn't see a lot of meta changes there, but definitely in response to Toronto, because Hunter was very popular, and Dead Man's Hand Warrior was very popular in HCT Toronto. But all in all, don't sleep on Druid. I don't think these are necessarily representative of the full scope of the power of the 9 classes in Hearthstone. Like, yeah, Shaman's pretty trash, but Spell Hunter right now is very strong, and I think Druid as well is definitely still a contender to put in your 4-class lineup if you're probably banning Warlock, because Control Lock can run Skulking Geist, and then you just get rolled. But yeah, we've seen some pretty diverse metas in Bangkok and WESG, but I don't know. Tespa's just sort of a different beast because it's every single week. It's really the best opportunity to get a chance to watch metas evolve over time, because it's the only tournament of its kind right now.
And sometimes they bring hand buff Paladin.
Yeah, they did that. I think they got a win with it.
They did. I remember that game. I talked about it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, you have to go watch that game because it was hilarious.
The Game 5 of the second match yesterday, so Tuesday night, was Spiteful Summoner Priest versus Quest Mage. And the Quest Mage had the combo, they'd won the game essentially. And then the Priest nailed Nozdormu. And then Free From Amber gave them Mayor Nog, or no, they got Mayor Noggenfogger off Free From Amber. And then they got another copy of Nozdormu. And I'm not going to tell you who wins, but it was insane. It was really, really great. If you're going to check out any match for Tespa this week, Tuesday night, the second series. That was a good one.
Why is it always Nozdormu? It always comes down to Nozdormu.
So much fun.
Well,
We
it
saw
has to be both.
3 Noggenfoggers on stream this week. It was myself and Yo It's Flow casting this week. 3 Noggenfoggers, and none of them were good. He's coming up for re-election, and I don't think he's going to get the job.
You're saying that Mayor Noggenfogger is not a good card.
But
Sorry,
sometimes
guys.
necessary.
No one could have seen
Sometimes
that coming.
necessary. Still bad. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Cora. And I appreciate as well how you are kind of the stable force in the rotating cast chair, because new talent has to come from somewhere. And So You Think You Can Cast is just really getting geared up to see if we can get the next wave of casters. We actually had an HCT Bangkok. We had Gia D is picking up more, and Giano, I don't know how you say his name, but he also was casting and was pretty good at it. And Cora has been taking many young casters under her wing as the songbird, and showing them and teaching them how to cast. And you had J Billy B and Yo It's Flow this past week, if I recall correctly.
Yes, this past week was Yo It's Flow. The week before was J Billy B. Before that, his name was Edge. Canadian guy. Nobody really heard of him before, but he did a really nice job. Dr. Jikaninki and Rusty thus far. Next week, it's Astrogation. And week 7, it's going to be Nostum. And then I'm actually going directly from casting Tespa with Nostum to PAX East, where I'm casting with Nostum and Just Sayin. So that'll be fun.
Whoa.
That
Wait,
sounds
casting
fun.
with Nostum and Just Sayin?
Yep, Nostum and Sayin.
It's basically Watchstone the cast.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And me.
amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow. I'm excited now. I'm going to write this down. Watch PAX East. And then also, by the way, if you're at PAX East, you can meet and greet one at Cora Georgiou.
Yeah, they were like, "Do you want to do a meet and greet?" And like, "Do you think anybody's gonna show up?" And they're like, "Does it matter?" And I'm like, "I guess not." So I have a meet and greet schedule.
Well, what's important is that you're confident
We'll
about
see
it.
what happens. We'll see. It'll be fun. I may just sit at a table and play arena. You never know.
What you need to do is start an arena run, and each person that comes up gets to pick one card. And then you play the community run.
I don't hate it actually. That's pretty fun.
You need to
That'd be
get
so much fun to stream.
30 people who want to meet and greet you.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. I don't have enough money to pay 30 people to meet and greet me.
It's
Nah, I'm excited. It'll be fun.
$31 bills go a long way. Or maybe you can get some like concession coupons at PAX East, because those are worth their weight in gold.
Definitely possible.
We'll
And the
figure it out.
Wild Finals are coming up March 31st.
Oh yeah, so the Wild Finals are coming up March 31st. Tespa's ongoing for a couple more weeks, and definitely check it out with the casting talent. Astrogation, super smart, and if anyone knows Druid, it's that guy. So definitely listen to him about Druid. HCT Oslo is coming up next week. That's actually a last hero standing format, so it'll be very different from what we've seen so far. The Copa America qualifier is coming, and yeah, there's a lot of really great tournaments for us to talk about. So there will be definitely more for us to discuss. Yay!
Woo!
Alrighty.
Do we want to talk about some arena with Sir Slim himself?
Let's do it, man. All right, so this week we're going to talk about basically how to play arena with the new changes. There are a lot of things to discuss with the new format, and yeah, I guess we can just sort of take away. We got the rest of the time to talk about this, I believe. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week, I've been kind of putting together a lot of the Dexplanation segments lately, and didn't really know what to talk about this week. And we're like, well, we'd like to have Sir Slim on again, and they just changed arena, so it'd be great to have him on to kind of talk about it, since you're very knowledgeable in that line. And I am very not knowledgeable in arena and have been actually struggling to put together wins. So I'm very glad that we can have you on here and hopefully help me as well as the listeners out try to
Absolutely.
get some more wins. So kind of one of the big question to start it off with is kind of what's different in terms of what can we expect deck construction now compared to kind of how it used to be.
Especially with this new drafting system of the three very similar power level picks, you can expect to see a lot more decks that have very synergistic cards. They work well together, or just overall are really well rounded. Because what I've seen is that you'll get offered roughly similar picks, and then like maybe the third time around, instead of picking direct damage or something, you pick a board clear or just a really nice value minion. So what I've definitely seen is that you're gonna see a lot more decks that just really focus on getting these power plays, and control decks that can just really hit you on all ends basically, and burst you down or really just control everything. But yeah, I mean that's basically what I've seen, is that it's really skill testing in terms of drafting what you want to get out of it. Basically, if you really want to have a control deck, you can go that route, and if you really want to add more burst or tempo to your deck, then you can do that with the drafts. Basically a lot more of the time.
Okay, so like before, from what I understand, it felt like Arena was getting to the point where it was significantly more value based. And are you saying now it's significantly more synergy based? So maybe the aggro decks have more of a chance, would you say? Or do you think the aggro decks always had a chance and it's just the way the decks feel is a little different?
It's sort of it's sort of different on both ends. If you want to go the tempo route, you have the increased synergies. So maybe you might be able to pull off more powerful plays that previously, there wouldn't be many answers to. But now on the other end, you have control decks that are getting more answers and just more solid decks overall. So they will most likely be able to answer that in some way, shape, or form. So what I actually think is really cool about this new arena, especially after they toned down things a bit, uh, is that really arena doesn't feel too different to play right now. The drafting process feels completely different. Like you're very skill tested in what you have to pick and draft for, but then that's mostly like player preference, what you want to go for, more aggro style, more mid rangey. But yeah, in terms of play, it's sort of the same deal. You're just sort of maybe a little bit higher on the power level there.
Okay.
But yeah,
So like the drafting process feels a little more rewarding, you might say.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then they added a bunch of new cards. How have the new cards kind of changed it? Like have any classes gotten significantly better? Have you noticed any cards really standing out over any of the other ones?
Yeah, absolutely. The two big standout ones would be Blazing Longsword and the Shaman one, Crackling Doom, which the power level of those cards basically shot Shaman and Warrior to what is roughly the top of Arena right now. Also, the new drafting system helps those classes significantly because they have uh, a higher amount of lower end cards. So when everything is sort of evened out on a power level and you can have a more consistent deck type, you're seeing the power cards from those classes a lot more. Like with Warrior, you're finding weapons more, and you're finding like Frothing Berserker, and with Shaman, you're finding your AOE's and your Fire Elementals. So these kind of things, you're not finding ice fishing with Shaman as much, and if you are, there's other options that you can sort of go along that route. So definitely those would be the two standout classes. And then for the other new arena cards, most of them are just sort of new mechanics that are pretty interesting to the classes, but don't help them too much. Like I know Generous Spirit from Priest. You don't generally want to be giving up your own minions, even to draw some cards. But if you do happen to draft that Doomsayer and the Generous Spirit, they'll work super well together. And I can't wait until I eventually get an arena like that. Some other interesting ones. Mage got Polymorph ? And that one is just super crazy and fun. You can have stories for days of what your opponent managed to get with it. So yeah, overall they liven up the classes that needed a little bit more to them, and then they helped a lot of the classes that needed some more help.
Okay. So question here, I don't have it in the show notes, but you said Shaman and Warrior got significantly better. I was going to ask, in terms of weapons, is there a good balance on how many weapons you're aiming for in a deck like that?
You sort of got to feel it out, but I wouldn't go more than like 4 or 5. After that point, they start getting a lot worse because you can't really face tank that much.
Mm-hmm.
That's for Warrior. At least for Shaman, maybe I'd go lower on like the 3 spectrum. So like, I mean, obviously you want to pick a lot of Jade Claws if you can, because they get better the more you play them. But overall, those are your power cards, so you can get a bit greedy with how many you draft. I just wouldn't push it too much, unless you perhaps have life gain in your deck.
Okay. And do you think that there's any like specific cards that maybe evaluations have changed from before to now? Anything that you used to pick a lot that maybe you don't pick as much anymore?
I thought about this one a bit, and I honestly can't say yet that I've noticed anything that maybe I'm picking more and that's significantly better. But I can say I've devalued board clears a little bit in my head. They're definitely still powerful. I'm not saying pass them by any means, but I've drafted mages that have maybe 2 or 3 blizzards, and then you get offered Flame Strike or whatever, or Primordial Drakes, and those are great cards, but generally people are running more mid-rangey or control decks. There's the occasional aggro, in which case you just kind of stomp them by having 6 board clears. But if you're playing a deck like that, you can just lose to basically the most basic of mid-range decks because you don't have the answers to all their mid-range stuff. I think I forget who was saying it, Hat maybe, who had like 3 Psychic Screams and then couldn't do anything but remove minions and then just lost after he ran out of removal. So I think, yeah, definitely maybe like around that 3rd Blizzard area, I'd start picking other cards over that.
Gotta have actual threats too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Gotta
was
have your
me.
Ultrasaurs with your Blizzards.
That was
Yeah,
me that
okay.
picked the highest constructed power level card over and over again, and then realized after 30 cards I had 30 cards and not a deck. That was definitely me.
So
Good way to put it.
what strategies have you been having success with, and maybe strategies that maybe you haven't seen as much success with?
Out of the decks I've drafted, the best performing would be the mid-range rogue that I had. It was basically a very simple deck. It was just a rogue with a decent amount of 5-drops, decent curve, and like 1 Envenom Weapon was the best card I had. So
Wow.
that managed to go 12 wins fairly easily. I didn't run into anything too crazy, but I definitely think, before or during the power spike when they introduced this change, Rogue was on the lower end because you just sort of get burnt out by direct damage, or people would just have too many threats and you couldn't kill everything. Rogues didn't have the best cards; they just have tempo as their main tool. So when everyone's dropping bomb after bomb after bomb, you can't exactly compete with that. But I'm glad to say Rogue seems like it's getting back up there, and tempo and mid range, especially for the Rogue classes, is definitely back near the top, I'd say. But I also had success. Cora saw this deck. It was a mage deck that was it was just kind of insane. It had like 2
It was
Blizzards,
disgusting.
2 Firelands Portals, 2 Primordial Drakes. So obviously, if you get a deck like that, it's going to work out pretty well. But same old control strats are going to work out just as good. It's sort of, each class has its own play style. So if you work towards that and draft with that in mind, then it's going to work out pretty well.
Okay. And then are there any like traps you want to tell people to avoid, like picking more than 6 weapons in a warrior deck or something?
Yeah, I mean, basically that. It's just, as Hat said, is picking the highest value card without considering synergies. That was the whole point of this change to Arena, basically, is that you have to consider what your deck has and the curve and what you're going to need. So just blindly picking what you think the best card isn't going to work out very well. And I definitely have experienced that. So if you can just sort of consider, like, what am I going for, and should I be more well-rounded in my strategy? So perhaps maybe, if you're a mage and you already have all these board clears, lean a bit more towards maybe like Frostbolt or a different spell like Fireball for direct damage. I don't know, because those are usually what you get compared against. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't just blindly pick every, amazing card that you see.
Okay. And what class have you been playing the most, and maybe what's your opinion on like the top 3 classes right now in Arena? If you're given choices, which ones do you put at the top tier?
Before the change, where they nerfed everything, or nerfed all the decks in terms of power level, I was testing out a lot of the Shaman just because to me they had the most interesting new card.
It's fun.
And also, yeah, playing around with all the elementals and stuff, it was really interesting. Also, it's a class that I didn't get to play much before because it wasn't super good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing around with that a bit, and now after the change, I've been messing around with Rogue a bit. Obviously, I got 12 wins with that one deck, and Rogue has always been one of my favorite classes for Arena. So, I was sort of seeing if that strategy worked out a bit, and it did. And in terms of top 3 classes, I haven't seen too much, and we're still, there are still some decks out there from before the nerf. So it's sort of hard to gauge what exactly is working and what isn't, because, there are going to be extreme outliers there for like people who have just held their deck from before the change. So in my opinion, though, I'd definitely say Rogue is still up there just because of how solid it is as a class. and I haven't played too much with Warrior, so I can't really speak for myself. But I've heard that it's pretty good. I don't know if I'd put it top 3 range, but maybe like fourth. It's definitely up there.
Okay.
So yeah, honestly, everything seems pretty close. So
Well, that's
Rogue,
good.
maybe Paladin. Paladin is always good. And then Shaman. I'd have to play around with it more after the change to see just how consistent it is. But Shaman does seem really powerful now.
Okay. Yeah, I know that before kind of the depowering of everything, I think Paladin was widely considered one of probably the best one, just because they had like a million Spike Ridge steeds and
Yeah.
Tyrians and Stonehill defenders to get extra Tyrians. So
Yeah, and weapons had the occurrence boost, so you'd see like Vine
yeah.
Cleavers like crazy. Yeah, Paladin was pretty insane.
So Cora, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. Have you played much Arena since the change?
I played more prior to the change.
Okay.
I played a couple runs since the change, but not too many. I was really enjoying prior to the change because it was such a different experience than the arena that I'd come to know over the last several years. Being that the power levels were just so much higher, and I could play with Lich King in 3 out of my 5 decks that I drafted in a row. Post change, I've definitely noticed power levels going down. I'm messing around with. I've drafted a couple of Druid decks because Druid in Arena is just always very interesting to me. Druid and Shaman, especially. Obviously, Priest, Paladin, Mage were the strongest in Arena for a very long time, and I'm always sort of looking at those B tier decks, I guess, those tier 2 decks, and how you can really operate them in Arena to find success with them. So I've had a couple of 9 and 10 win runs. Haven't gotten a 12 win run actually yet, so I gotta get back to the grind.
Have you played the
I'm
Druid
shaming
card?
myself. No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've played Priest, Paladin, Shaman, Warrior. I played the Blazing Longsword, and I've drafted Polymorph question marks. I have a deck ready to go with that I haven't played yet. But I'm definitely going to try to get through and play with all of them at least once or twice, just to see. They
The
seem fun.
Druid card seems very interesting, potentially quite powerful, but also kind of hard to set up.
Yeah. It's the bounce with the 5/5 buff.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool combos you can pull off with that, or just potentially like bounce something cheap and then play it back out as like a 7/7 the next turn. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I haven't experimented too much with it myself.
First thing that comes to mind would be like a Serenite Chain Gang or something. Would be
Oh yeah,
would be
Yeah.
quite good.
Doppelgangster.
Well,
Yep.
you can
Dang.
also use as kind of like value trade with something and then basically heal it and buff it. You kind of get the card back if it's a dark Arakoa or something, and then you attack with it the turn after you play it, and then buff it back up and replay it. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
the Brewmasters have been solid cards in Arena for a long time, so it's basically along those lines.
Cool. I think that was kind of all the questions I have. Does anybody else have a question for Sir Slim?
Hey Slim,
Not a
do you offer
question.
coaching?
I do. Yeah, please request me. That's the word. And I will be glad to provide a wonderful coaching session in Arena or Constructed, whatever you choose.
Yeah. If you want a
Uh,
review of Sir Slim's coaching, go find Big Crazy Gamer and ask him. He's a big fan.
Eric's a little bit biased. He lives here on the weekends.
Shh, it's a secret, Cora.
He knows where we live. We have to be nice.
No, it's just got me more excited to play it, and actually, one of the things on my list was to get a 12 win. So should start working on that. Seems fun.
Yeah, hopefully I can get some more wins under my belt in Arena and not get too tilted at it.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to go over. We had a response on our website, but I'm going to put it under our email section. So, Hat, I'll let you take it away with that first, and then I'll join in.
Rock is dead.
All right. So we had an email or a website response rather from a listener, Data Lusic, and Data Lusic actually sent us a comment that led us to have kind of an interesting behind the scenes discussion because he asked, "Love you guys, best all rounder podcast, but why do we pronounce Reno Jackson like Reno? Because it's a renovation of your life. Should be Reno Jackson." Now, it turns out, through this discussion, we discovered, we emailed back, we linked a video of Ben Brode pronouncing it, and we think it's based on Reno, Nevada, which, of course, is not a global phenomenon. Reno, Nevada is barely a U.S. phenomenon. If you're listening, I'm sorry, if you're from Reno. And it's, as a non-native English speaker, it's kind of interesting to think about how these kind of cards, even when it's not regarding U.S. landmarks, is kind of it's hard to divine the pronunciation of these English cards from written language only, and it was just kind of interesting to think about how many of these cards you never really hear them spoken aloud. If you're playing Hearthstone by yourself, you don't really have a community to play with locally, or you don't listen to a podcast, so we were glad to kind of provide that context, but it was just interesting to think about how the rest of the world views these oddly titled cards that we have.
Do you guys say Alunith or Alaneth?
The words I have about that card are not super family friendly.
That's
Well,
fair.
Are you given like a pronunciation guide? I know that some of the like
Mm-mm.
Magic the Gathering casters they actually give them pronunciation guides for the cards.
We do not have a pronunciation guide. So there's a couple that do come up consistently week after week in Tespa. I say Alaneth, but I've heard Alunith a lot, and I honestly do not know genuinely which one is correct. Usually until you hear somebody on Team 5 say the name, you don't really know. But like Yasharaj, Yasharj, Nazoth, Enzoth, Arcane Artificer, Arcane Artificer. There's a lot of ambiguity, I guess, in some really popular card names that we just don't know. So, but that Alunith one or Alaneth one is always the one that really gets me.
I pronounce it Alaneth, but I think Alunith would sound. I think it sounds more right now that you think
I
about
honestly
it.
don't know.
Well,
I met Matt Mercer. I should have asked him.
We
He
kind
voices
of know
the
these things,
card.
though, right? Because
Yeah.
we know if they're in World of Warcraft. We
Mhm.
don't know otherwise, but... And I'm shamelessly stealing this from Lore Master Eve, who's actually in our chat and providing us pronunciation details, as I'm sure she shakes her head, is Aluneth. Aluneth.
Aluneth.
Okay.
Aluneth.
So,
Aluneth. Okay.
but so these cards are some of these cards are in World of Warcraft, and if there's a voiceover that pronounces these cards, we kind of get to hear about them. We kind of get to know what these cards are. If there's not, then we got to figure it out. But Aluneth, it makes sense if you hear it, but I said Aluneth before just now, so it's difficult to pronounce these cards, and card mispronunciations in card games go back as long as card games do. Like, these sort of things are very commonly mispronounced, and it's just an artifact of learning about something primarily through the written word.
It's also like shaman, or even Hearthstone. You know, some people even the name of the game.
Yeah, I say Hearth.
Hearthstone. Yeah, it's Crip says Hearthstone. Drives me crazy. But then I keep watching Crip, so who's really at fault?
Or Sea Kraken.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's another one.
He does Kraken all the time.
But yeah, it was a fun discussion, and thank you for writing. And that's it was nice to go over. It was a fun discussion.
Yeah,
But-
and Data Lucic also thanked us for our lore moments, which was a very weird out of body experience because I had the one because I am a shameless Lore Master Eve fanboy. So if you like lore, go listen to Velen's Chosen, and Eve is the best there is. But I took a little bit of inspiration. I've been playing a good amount of World of Warcraft, so I was able to chime in on that last week. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I agree that lore is fun, and also there's some good discussion about how not to burn out in the ladder and keep the ladder fun. There's actually a great discussion going on today on Twitter because a Reddit post went up where a guy was getting really, really mad at Overwatch, and then his wife, who's a therapist, gave him a form about DBT and how to manage one's emotions. And the discussion about Hearthstone being an emotional management game is ongoing. I talked about it in Into the Wild a little bit, and it's something that keeps getting talked about with good reason. So we're glad to kind of provide that emphasis as well, and we strongly recommend. Again, it's hard to keep your emotions in tune when 3 people playing any game of Hearthstone are just you, your opponent, and RNGesus, and the 3 of you have lots of time together. So totally understandable for things to get upsetting. But remember, it's all about staying in the moment, managing your emotions to play the best you can.
Yep. Now, have we? I was gonna quickly go over this too, just because it was mentioned to me. Steven Sensei asked me, or in our question in our Discord, basically towards me specifically because I made an all golden deck. So he said Kenny recently completed a full golden deck. For those that have full golden decks, I don't know. I actually don't know which one of you do or don't, but how did you choose that deck to craft and why? So, Corey, do you have any full golden?
I do not. I always wanted a full golden Control Warrior back when Control Warrior was like the most expensive deck in the game, and you play Rag and Sylvanas and Cairn and Grom and Deathwing and
That's
everything in the
expensive.
deck. I wanted that deck, but that deck is no more. And yeah, I don't spend a ton of money on the game when I can avoid it. But I did open from my 3 Kobolds and Catacombs packs from the Tavern Brawl today: Golden Possessed Lackey, Golden Falderai Strider, and Golden Psychic Scream. So
Nice.
slowly but surely, the collection is getting blinged out a little bit here and there.
And Sir Slim?
No, I wish. I'm mostly a free-to-play player. I've spent $5 to get Khadgar, and that was it. Basically sticking to Arena for all my golden pack needs. But yeah, no, I have to
Makes sense.
keep the dust for any legendaries that I might need to craft certain decks for the meta. But
You have
yeah,
a crazy golden legendary pull rate, though.
I do. I've pulled Golden Rag, Golden Jiraxis, Golden Sylvanas. Always quality.
He has stupid luck.
Yeah, I get like Raytheon and like
Get
that's what
Auction
I
Master
get.
Beardo and Sky Captain Crag.
Yeah.
Oh, and Lich King, that was another one.
Oh yeah, I got Lich King too. All right, never mind.
All right. Hat. Do you have any full golden?
Kenny, you are the 1%. You just need to own it. It's
uh,
I want full golden Miracle Rogue, but I can never justify making it over having other decks. And there's just so many, like, I'd rather craft Beardo, which I don't even have, and even then I just can't justify doing it when he's going to rotate out in a few months. So they didn't Hall of Fame prep. They didn't Hall of Fame Van Cleef, so I may make a golden Miracle Rogue if it gets good again. But it's still, since they rotated out Tomb Pillager and nerfed Small Time Buccaneer, it has been on the verge of tier 1, but not tier 1 since, and I can't justify making all these beautiful golden rogue cards, though I do craft on occasion. My approach is usually I gold out commons, neutral commons, or neutral rares that I play with a lot. I golded out Azure Drakes, Argent Squires, and Abusive Sergeants back when they were played a lot because most of the decks that I had Abusive Sergeants and Argent Squires, so I made those because they were everywhere.
And usually like minions over spells and stuff.
Well, if your spell makes more spells, like Primordial Glyph is a great one to make in Golden. Anything that makes other cards, like Kazakus is great in Golden. Anything that gives you the opportunity to see the most animations possible, which is also why I recommend crafting a normal Zola the Gorgon, because you get to see all the Goldens you want. It's yeah.
I just have moments of intense impulse control issues, and that's how I ended up with Golden Pyros, which I've played maybe 3 times.
It's Pyros as in
looks so cool.
Multiple
I'm like, I don't
Pyroblasts or a 2-mana bird?
2-mana bird.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I don't even have this. I might as well craft it golden because it looks really good, and it's 3 cards in 1. And I've played Big Spell Mage a couple of times. Should probably go play it some more. Yeah.
I think I opened that one gold. What about you, Bot?
I'm mostly pretty anti-golden cards. I don't like, even when like I build decks and it autofills them, I'll take out the golden cards and put in non-golden cards for like the core ones. But I do have a golden Elise the Trailblazer, and I wish I liked the the Void Ripper Priest deck more because then I could play it a lot. But I won't disenchant that one. That one's a lot of fun to get golden packs. I mean, you don't get much better value than golden packs. And then I have like a couple golden shaman legendaries just because I opened them, but they're shaman legendaries, so I don't get to play them very much.
Well, okay. So here's part of why I decided to make a golden deck. And I think this is probably why it goes against why you guys probably don't have golden decks, but I play wild like 10 times more than I play standard. And if I feel that if I craft a golden set, I'll still be playing it because I'll be playing it in wild. So it may be harder for those that play only standard, or like if you aren't trying to get a collection for your wild, that you dust all the cards that are going to be leaving standard. Well, it's hard for you to kind of get into that golden mindset. But if you play wild, you're already trying for those cards, and you like there are cards that I don't have still, or even cards that were nerfed that I got. I think what was it, Arcane Golem? I dusted. So
Yeah.
like stuff like that, I've dusted for additional dust to make golden sets. I have 3 golden sets. They're all paladin, so a lot of cards overlap, like Call to Arms, and so I have a Murloc. I have a standard one. I have a Murloc wild, and I have a secret Anyfin Murloc. And that was my first one I made. But those are the ones I made, and that's because Paladin's the class that I play, and it's really strong. So I didn't feel bad, and it's nostalgic because it was my first wild, our first legend deck was Secret Pally. So that was why I decided to do that. So I don't know how often I will be doing that, but I probably will be the only time I will do it. So finally got around to that. I was wondering if I answered that or not before, and I couldn't remember, so I decided to throw that in there. All right. You guys want to go over any other questions before we're going to the next segment?
I think the next section is pretty important.
Pretty important.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Important enough for a bumper?
I didn't prepare one, but yes. Let's
Okay.
see.
For those of you that are listening to the edited version,
Yes.
Yeah.
You won't ever hear this. You know what? I'm going to do the... Here we go. This one's fun.
All right. So this is called A Moment with Kenny. And part of this is basically me announcing that I will be moving on. Moving on being handing the torch. I will be a part of Concede community, but I will not be on the podcast regularly. For those of you that have been around the last several weeks, haven't heard me much. I've been usually with my son and baseball, or trying to wrangle the other 2 kids up while he's playing baseball. So we're trying to switch off and do things, and it's going to pick up a lot now that we're going back to work, and it's going to be. I don't feel it's right to not give my 100%, and I wanted to kind of hand it off so they can take over and do the best they can with it. So I've already achieved my goal. I got a podcast started. I got a community going. I've shared my knowledge and done what I could to keep this going. So I'm ready for the next step and to see where Concede will be going. So a moment with Kenny, I kind of wanted to do something different, and what came to mind was thank yous, and I was thinking of Jimmy Fallon's thank you notes. So I don't know if you want to edit this in later, Hat, but if you want to play his thank you song while I say these are nostalgic to me. So
I'm making a note.
So here we go. So thank you. And I'll do my little writing motion here. So thank you, Kibler, for burning the Warlock Death Knight on the card reveal stream. Thank you. Thank you, Ben Brode, for your laughs and wordsmithing raps. Thank you, Dude, for dancing when discarding your whole Highlander Priest opponent's hand with a Halfine Treachery Defile. Thank you, Ben Brode, for trolling Tice with the Lich King encounter. I'll see about adding in some of the VODs here for some of those, but those are some of my favorite things I got to see. Anything else you guys want to add to thank yous? I'm gonna have my shout outs at the end, but just whether it's to do with me or Hearthstone and altogether. Man, I've had so much fun. I this is gonna suck. I'm gonna miss everybody. Cora and I started this, and
A lot's changed. You've had two
Yeah.
children since then.
Oh my god.
yes, I have. And it's one of those things where you start to realize you're being a parent and you want to dedicate your life to your children. And it's not that I do. I think of them more, and they're going to be more of a part of my life than podcasting or anything, can become close to it. But it's just times have changed, and things have gotten a little bit more important with me in my life. So it's time to change. Nothing ever stays 100%, but my whole goal was to not have this end when I end, like for me to be the show, and that's it. So I'm glad the show has surpassed me, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So thank you, Hat, and thank you, Bot, for taking the charge.
Of course, and we're going to be also bringing back Appa as our third chair here and keeping our rotating fourth chair guest thing, which I think has worked out pretty well. But if you had two children since the start of the podcast, is it a missed opportunity to not name them Coin and Concede?
They can be that can be their online names, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know that your wife would like that too much.
We won't have to tell her.
Yeah, well, she'll find out someday.
A little quick inside story. The first one's my stepson's named with a T. My first child's named with an L, and she was vetoing every C name I came up with just so I could have a TLC child name going.
Man,
I know.
That would have been so fun.
It would have been, but missed opportunity.
You got TLD. Now, if you have a fourth one, it can be R.
Ah.
Ah.
You gotta sneak up with that one, Kenny.
But getting a little too personal. I was about to say something, but yeah. Let's just say I'll just say two words: snip, snip.
Okay. It's
Gotta
probably
respect it.
yeah, probably no need for the R there.
3 is a magic number.
Yeah.
My parents stopped at 2, clearly.
But Kenny, I just want to say, while we have both you and Cora on the cast, did you two ever expect this to go the way it has? Did you two ever expect Coin Concede to wind up where it is? And Cora, did you ever expect to get a meet and greet table?
No, Hat, I never expected to get a meet and greet table. Coin Concede was something that the first Hearthstone team that I was on, the creator of the team, just one day was like, yo, do you want to start a podcast with this random dude? And his name happened to be Kenny. And I was like, sure. And we had Kevin Cookies back on the show back then as well. He was a founding member. Kevin left a long time ago. Obviously, I have made my way out into the world, and I only come back ever so often. But Kenny was really the lifeblood that kept this show going. And even after all of the host turnover that we've had in the last couple of years, Kenny was always the one constant. So for me, knowing now that Kenny is moving on as well, I'm really happy for him, because honestly, he deserves it. He deserves to be able to go and be a father and be there for his family. But also, I know he's still going to be there for his Coin Concede family too. So we're not losing Kenny. We're just gaining other family members for the long run, you know? And I think that's really great.
It is really great. I like it. I'm sad to go, but it's I'll still be around. So it's not like I'm dying or something. No, I'm still going to be around. It was a lot of fun. To answer your question, Hat, I didn't first see it going this way. When I first was thinking about it, it was with my exchange partner, and then once that kind of he got ill, He's better now, but I was like, well, gosh, I really want to get this going, and I kind of turned to the internet. I almost got it started with, I think it was a girl and Rob, not Rob. So not Rob, and then a girl we kind of knew together through Twitter. That was in Hearthstone and wanted to kind of get into media, but Rob wanted to start his own thing. I let him go, so I was almost on the edge, like, well, should I do this? Should I not? And then that's I got in contact with a mutual friend of Cora and ours, eyes, and Kevin, obviously was a part of it too. So with VS, Vicious Syndicate, and I wanted to get a broad spectrum. Like I wanted to have someone young. I wanted to have a woman. I wanted to have representation because I was a little bit older or getting older. Not saying that I'm old now, but it was it was a good aspect to kind of think about when starting it, and where it's come now to where we're having guests on all the time, where our community is just super big. I think our community is like the biggest community that's not frontline in Hearthstone. I'd say we're like the I don't want to say black sheep, but the behind the scenes, behind the curtain.
The underdogs.
Yeah, but it's just getting better now to where we're no longer the underdogs. Like we're paving our own way, So I'm really happy to be a part of this. It's gone beyond my expectations, and I'm gonna say this now just because I was gonna add it with my coin concede or my shoutouts. So thank you to Cora, Kevin Keefe, Andres, Cinder, Appa, Hat, Bodicus, or Slim, and everyone else who helped me get this podcast started and keep it rolling. It wasn't just me; it was all of these people, and whether they're still in it or not, they had a big part of it. So, yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
Yeah, I just don't even know how to put together words to be able to thank you enough for everything you've done. Just kind of getting the whole podcast together and allowing me to be a part of it, and I'm very excited for the future, while at the same time I just honestly can't thank you enough, because when I first came on, you were just extremely it didn't feel like I was random dude. You made it feel like I was already part of the community, or like I was already like a host. So I just huge thank you, and I know you'll still be around, but you'll be missed.
Thank you. It's I'll still be around the community. I'm still sharing knowledge, and just like Andres was very helpful with audio and stuff, with helping Had, and I'm still going to be around and hanging out and sharing. So I'm just not going to be upfront like I have been with the show, just because my time is limited, or getting more limited as we speak. So yeah, and I feel like I'm saying goodbye, but I'm not really going. So.
I mean, it's a change in time and a change in your role. I agree with all that's been said before. I don't think words can be said that can overstate your impact on this cast and the community at large, because you think about the way that the podcasting community has kind of grown and integrated with each other over the past couple of years. It's been really exceptional to see. And we look at this article that we talked about earlier about toxicity in gaming, and it's a problem in a lot of places, but I can say that in this community it is not a problem. One of the strengths, one of the things that we offer, is how welcoming everyone is to each other. And I think that's a really special thing. And I can say for sure Coin Concede is a part of that, and it would not be where it is today if it weren't for your contribution. So thank you for everything you've done. We're going to get you back on an episode here and there. That's going to happen. Make your peace with that. Warn your wife now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she knows. It's just something I can't commit. Like I can schedule and say, hey, I can do something, or like a bonus episode, or whatever it may be. I'll be around. I'll still try and be here and there. So
we're gonna have to do some kind of Kenny celebration episode in the near future. But in the meantime, it's not goodbye. It's until we meet again. But I will say that the cast will miss your regular contributions, and hosting is a lot harder than it looks. By the way, I've tried doing this the past couple weeks, and Kenny hasn't been here. There's a lot going on. So Kenny, thank you for all the behind the scenes work that you've done. Really appreciate it. Well, it's the front of the house, the back house. That this is your house, so thank you for letting us live in it.
Our house in the middle of the street.
I'm just a squatter that you haven't kicked out.
you that's what you've been saying from the beginning. You're like, well, I came on and you just haven't gotten rid of me. And it's kind of true.
Yeah.
You never made me leave.
Yeah. Cora's like, I'm gonna go be famous now instead. Excuse me, I have a meet and greet to do, so you can stay in this podcast.
No, I'm not that jaded.
No.
Nah. I
And
mean, obviously, it's something that I really didn't want to have to leave the show regularly, but traveling as much as I do and working as much as I do, which I sort of have to do at this point, it just, I'm exhausted 90% of the time, or I'm just getting off an airplane when you guys are recording, or I'm physically not, in the state that I live in.
Well,
so it just made it very difficult.
It's understandable because other podcasts have had people that go on and moved on and worked for Blizzard and
Yeah.
do that too. So it's not like that hasn't happened with other people. So
You're pulling
I
a
think people
Cora.
understand.
Yeah.
You're going on and living
Yeah,
your
but
life. Occasionally we
I'm
come
not-
back and we reminisce.
I'm not going to work for Blizzard people. I'm not going. It's just. I hate to say it's just family, but it's everything. So
Yeah.
there is no just in front of family.
no,
You got a new baby.
Yes.
I know. He's laughing more and more now. He's grown up.
Well,
so
Kenny,
enough
got-
about me. Yeah, no trumpets and fanfare. Just another day is all.
Well, I got one question for you. One last question.
Sure.
How long can this go on?
Shall I do it one last time here?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hit us
All
with the
right,
thanks.
Thanks to Stefanel for letting us use his cover. Check him out on his channel, which is linked on our show notes. Big thanks to HearthstoneTopDecks.com and BeerBrick.com for deck lists and Hearthstone tournament information and YouTube for tournament VODs. The show notes for this week are on our website, www.coinconcede.com. You can monetarily support us at patreon.com/coinconcede. Every week, or not, pretty much every week on Twitch, Coin Concede podcast. I don't think we've missed a week in a long time here. And we're going to get an extra episode in here soon. Discord, every single day, every waking minute is discord.coinconcede.com for your invite. Email is coinconcede@gmail.com. Twitter is @coinconcede. And Facebook is facebook.com/coinconcede. We are still working, and I will. Another aspect I will still be involved with is working on the makeover for our swag. So we are. I'll let you guys announce it once it's fully fledged out. But for now, it's still shop.coinconcede.com. We're getting really close on that. And then big thanks to our producers, Calum CV, Viriatus, and
It's so fluffy!
Fluffy.
It's for those of you audio listeners, Cora actually has the fluffy unicorn.
Yes.
She really has.
Two
So
of them,
fluffy,
actually.
I could die.
There's a bigger version up there.
I have two of them. Yes.
Duo corns?
And then that's my wife's favorite part of that movie, by the way. And my son likes to point out the other references to it too. So now going on to our coin concedes, I'll start first because I already went over a lot of them just with my moment earlier. But my shout out other than that this week is Lore Master Eve. Congrats on making Legend for the first time. And not only that, but top 10 in Wild. She got up to
She
rank
got like
6.
up to rank 6. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's
First
crushing
time.
it. Absolutely
Yeah.
crushing it.
And I was playing her deck in Wild and doing pretty well with it. I had to craft her, what was it, Knight? What was it? What's the one that eats all the divine shields? Knights.
Oh,
Break
Blood
Blood
Knight.
Knight.
Blood Knight.
Blood Knight. Oh, I crafted a golden just so I could keep my golden deck. I crafted that golden and added that. So it's fun when you play against a dude paladin and they buff everything and you play that. Oh man. So yeah, congrats again, Lore Master Eve. You're awesome. Lore, man, we steal some of your lore aspects. I wish we could. But shout out to you. So, Hat, why don't you go next?
So shout outs to Samurai Flea, who hit their first time legend as one of the pioneers of this time legend and admin over in the Velen shows in Discord. Boy, we seem to talk about that podcast a lot. Maybe because it's fantastic and you should go listen to it. It's props to him for his first time legend experience, actually, and I want to shout out Starlax as well. Starlax had a coaching session with me and said, "Hey, let's bring Flea in here and let's play some games till he gets legend." And we didn't get there that night, but he got there the next night. So props to Starlax as well for being a good community member. Shout out to Beardy Man. He's a guy I actually met in the Into the Wild Discord and was messaging me today. We're working on a tournament lineup together, and he just expressed some really significant gratitude for how we were able to kind of slow the game down and make it more digestible. So, Bearded Man, glad you enjoy it. And shout out to Craig and Nate over on Into the Wild. I guested on their show yesterday. That episode should be going up this weekend. And I think I already shouted out Kurt and Jordan from the Daring Reporter, but if I didn't, I was on their show too. So I'm trying to catch up to Bodicus with my guesting because I got to make sure I keep my perennial podcast guest credentials in line.
Yeah, catch up to me, I'm sure.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that you were already ahead of me and you're just extending that lead. For sure.
So I just want to point out that I leave open. Obviously, we have a channel here in our Discord that for people that have season goals or do things for the first time or need help with cheers and stuff. Whatever it is, I leave open. Obviously, I could go on and on with everybody that's in there, but I try and leave it open for some of the other hosts to cover it here. So I'm going to add also Altenberg and Steven Sensei. For Reaching Legends, our community, those of you that start reaching it multiple times, we still see you. And yeah, congrats to all of you guys. We don't want to forget about you or gloss over your accomplishments, but yeah, congratulations and look forward to seeing some more. Bot.
I don't have a very long shout out, but I do want to just say thank you again to Kenny for everything you've done. I kind of already talked about it in your moment, but that's my coin concede for the week is just thank you so much, Kenny. And yeah, we'll definitely still hang out because we live so close to each other. So
yeah, I tried hanging out with you last time I was out in my hometown.
I was sick. Yeah. It just
was like I don't want to get your whole family sick, so I was like, all right, next time.
Yeah, that would have been very bad to get your kids sick.
Newborn. He hadn't even had his shots yet, so yeah. All right, so Cora.
I mean, you know it's you, Kenny.
I only call on people just to hear my name.
Even after I dipped and started doing my own thing, you were incredibly patient and, more than willing to keep this going by yourself and to keep building this community and working with new hosts and, gave me the chance to just stop in and say hi when I had the opportunity. So I am incredibly grateful for the work that you've put in. Yeah, you'll be
you were
missed, but you're not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you were patient too. She got me through the hump where I think we were down for a month, maybe a month and a half.
We had a couple of tough times. Certainly some upsets as far as hosts, and I had a very loud heater in my basement. That tough stuff, but we've always persevered, and I think that this community is very resilient. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And I know that Hat and Bodicus are good hands to lead the Coin Concede community. And so thank you for everything, Kenny. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you. And Sir Slim, how about you? Any shout outs?
Well, obviously, everything Cora said about you, Kenny, I second that. But also to everyone, thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it, and I hope I can do my best for this community as well. And then, well, while I'm giving the shout outs, let's give one to what is my most regular, I guess, coachee, Kurova. We do arena every month, and it's a blast. Just wanted to give him a little shout out here. But yeah, again, thank you so much for you guys just being great people and letting me barge onto your show like this, talk about some arena.
It's good when you come in and you talk about a passion that you have. So we'd like to hear you talk about your passions. So, all right. So let's go over our contact information. Let's start with you, Sir Slim, since you were just going over.
Yeah. Well, I don't use Twitter too much, but you can feel free to follow me there if you so choose. I believe it's at SirSlimHS.
I made it. I would know.
And if you actually would like to get in contact with me, the Concede Discord, I'm Sir Slim. Just you can message me, or that's basically how you'll guaranteed get in contact with me. So.
All right, and Bodicus, where can people find you?
I'm at BodicusHS on Twitter, and it would be helpful if you followed my Twitch, twitch.tv/Bodicus. Do most of my streaming on the weekends, and it's pretty much all standard ladder. And I learned my lesson to not ask people what I should stream, because they'll tell you to play meme decks, and then your rank just goes down and down and down, and that wasn't fun. For me, it might have been fun for everybody else to watch me play like Deathwing Druid.
You should do a meme stream for a different, like say on Asia. Well, you don't. It's hard when you don't have the deck lists or the cards.
Yeah, that's the problem with like. I guess I shouldn't. This is like 1%. I guess 1% talk, but it's like it sucks that I hit legends so fast, because then I don't want to. Then I don't want to play meme decks because I want to try to hit high legend. It sucks, and I can't play on other servers because I don't have the cards.
Shucky darn! I'm so good at Hearthstone.
You disgust me.
Feel you.
All right, and Hats, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat. You can find me on Twitch on Thursday night. Still working on that second stream night, but I say that a lot and haven't gotten there yet. Twitch.tv/Ridiculous Hat. You can find me on Discord wherever Hearthstone may be discussed. Go to any Hearthstone Discord and type at Ridiculous Hat, and I'm pretty sure I'm in there.
Great. And Cora?
You can follow me on Twitter at songbird_HS. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/songbird_Cora. No, I haven't streamed since December. Yes, I will stream again eventually. Not sure when, but we'll get back there at some point. I have a vocal minority of people very upset that I haven't streamed in a very long time.
Are you ever going to plan on streaming Overwatch too, or just Hearthstone?
I don't know. Obviously the majority of my audience is still Hearthstone, so probably mostly Hearthstone. It's better for communicating with the audience as well. But when I'm home, that's sort of the issue. When I'm home, most of my free time is spent playing Overwatch. Because I did cast an Overwatch event last month. I'm hoping to move into the Overwatch space at some point. And I just love the game so much that I end up playing a lot of Overwatch, and I don't really want to stream it. So that, and a combination of I don't want to put on makeup.
If I were to imagine, sorry, we're sidetracking here. If I were to imagine you as an Overwatch character, I would see you as Brigitte.
I'd be Brigitte Lindholm. Yes, I take it. I would love to. I would love to be Brigitte. I haven't actually had a chance to play around with her yet, because she was released when I was in California. I just got back home today, and I'm leaving again Sunday for like 3 weeks or so. So fact of the matter, I'm gone a lot, but that also means that you're going to see me casting quite a bit. Twitch.tv/play Hearthstone, TESPA Collegiate Championships every week, Monday and Tuesday, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, with a new guest host every week. This coming week, it's going to be Astrogation. The week after that will be Nostum, but I'm always hosting the desk. And I'll be casting PAX East, and then I have a lot of other stuff that I'll be doing this year as well. that just hasn't been announced yet. But yeah, trust me on this. You'll be seeing me a good amount.
See the professionalism there? She like segued back into her own information. Gosh,
That's the narcissism. And bring it back to me.
All right.
Yeah,
So
that's the gist.
I'm gonna end it with myself. You can always find me on Twitter at KCCO_gamer. I will always be in Discord. That's where you can find me most often. I'm kind of like Sir Slim. I don't do too much on Twitter. I should be doing it more, but it's hard for me to just jump in. But yeah, just at me anywhere I'm at, and you'll see me. Add me on. I'm sure you can add me through Friends of Friends and in Battle.net too. So for the last consistent time, like I've been over the last couple weeks, I say consistently. But yeah, let's keep calm and chive on. And if you see me or any of us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Take cold comfort in your victory. You win. I can rest now. You win. For now.
Now, your victory proves nothing.
The day is yours.
I choose death. You have triumphed. This time, this hunt is yours.